majority share of the team, just over 15% for a period of time. In addition, Jeannie Buss will remain the Lakers' governor and continue to run the team for the foreseeable future. Mark Walter, the reported buyer, he's the CEO and chairman of diversified holding company TWG Global. They have interests in the Dodgers, the LA Sparks, the Premier League club Chelsea, and the Professional Women's Hockey League. The Lakers have been owned by the Buss family since 1979. Browns rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders cited by police outside of Cleveland early Tuesday for driving 101 miles an hour. That's 41 miles an hour over the posted 60-mile-an-hour speed limit. He took part in mandatory minicamp last week and stayed put in Cleveland along with other rookies for an orientation. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
To...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
You don't have to sink a 30-footer from the end of your driveway to come out of the NBA playoffs smelling like a rose. SportsGrid brings you all the angles, insights, and odds.
And more to make you a winner.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, SiriusXM Channel 159.
Oh, the best of every day now is officially underway. It is Moneyline. It is a Thursday, and could it be a championship Thursday today for the Oklahoma City Thunders? They're going to take on the Indiana Pacers. Major League Baseball in full effect with an afternoon schedule and hot, blazing temperatures in the Northeast, which will bring me to the Yankees, where I will jump back on board with the New York Yankees today. We'll talk about them and much, much more. But a pretty good day, including a stock that is tanking for one NBA prospect individual as well, Kevin.
I don't. Here's the thing, Donnie. I understand as a Sixers fan being annoyed at Ace Bailey.
Yeah,
but
stinks.
But nothing that Ace Bailey. I don't think Ace Bailey no showing the Sixers meeting would then lead to Ace Bailey being confused why he wasn't drafted by the Sixers.
I think he will be.
I know you don't.
If we don't show up, we might get drafted by Dallas. I think that's the advice he's getting right now. He's like, you know what? That's a pretty good theory. It's a pretty good draft theory. I like it.
I think you have a situation where Ace is kind of zagging on what typically a prospect wants, and he's just get me to Charlotte, Utah, Brooklyn.
God. Oh my God,
that's what he wants. I think he wants either be in Charlotte or Brooklyn, quite frankly, Donnie. Like, and why? Well, Charlotte, seemingly he has a really good relationship just based on a video I saw with Brandon Miller, and he likes that potential fit. And then honestly, like, Donnie, I think you can maybe even see where he's coming from on the Brooklyn angle of it all. He goes to Brooklyn. He just gets to probably be their second leading scorer, year number one. Big market enough in terms of New York. Went to Rutgers, obviously, so there's a level of connection there, even if he's a Tennessee kid. It's not nothing.
Yeah, it's the problem is it's odd to me where, like, you're thought of like, you know what? I'm going to come into the draft. I'm going to go to the combine. I'm going to shred it. A guy, Dylan Harper, might go number 2. I think I can go number 2. Like, I might not be going number 1 with Cooper Flagg, even though I'd probably tell people like I'm better than Cooper Flagg, and I'll turn out to be better pro than Cooper Flagg. Yeah, just the like, because everything also is tied to perception and money as well. It's not as if it's like, hey, Kevin, doesn't matter. You go 1 through 30 in the NBA draft, Everybody gets paid the same on the rookie contract. There's no big deal. Yeah, I just want to angle where I go. But now you're actively saying to yourself, I probably was a shoe-in to go number 3, maybe number 2 if I had good workouts and good, let's just say, conversations with the teams. Where now you're saying to yourself, well, I'm going to go from 3 and drop down where over the length of my first rookie contract, it might cost me $20 million, but at least, I didn't want to go. Like, it almost doesn't make sense the way they're going about it. The kid is young, and now you're saying, like, it's not like one of the, agents that's been around the block. It's a newer agent. People, oh, no surprise, it's so-and-so's dad here. Like, what type of advice would you get that's like, let me tank for money? I want to be a pro. The goal of being a pro is make as much money as you can. Yeah, I'll take $20 million less. It doesn't make sense to me.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you, and you're not going to like this, but not wanting to go to the Sixers makes plenty of sense. First of all,
about the Sixers, though, but it's
okay.
And also, why would you not? Because you are a rookie. So, so my goal is let me just get on to a team that sucks. We're always going to suck. And then I'm always going to have this notion of like, you tank to get to a team that stinks. You're not making any difference here. And that notion of not necessarily being a team player, but setting yourself up. Like, I would love to be a quarterback that's going to learn under a veteran, like coming in. Like, sure, you want to be Cam Ward and you go to Tennessee. It's like, man, I stunk and I have one chance at this and I'm bad. But how about the guys that are like, you know what, I'm just going to go to a good organization where I trust the coaching staff to put me in the right spot here. And even if it is the Sixers, like Charles Barkley went to the Philadelphia 76ers back when they were dominant in the early 1980s. Guy was like coming off the bench. Like, that's stupid. Like, no, like you're learning under professionals to be the best professional you can be. And the NBA is not the NFL. It's like, well, I might play 6 or 7 years. You can play 15 years. 18 years old, Kevin. He's 33 in his prime still playing.
No, so that's true, Donnie. I just think that there is some value when you go to a team and you are now looked at as their franchise cornerstone because it'd be easier for you to get paid. Think about Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, Donnie, to use your quarterback point, right? They put so much into Trevor that Trevor didn't have to get through that high of a bar in order to become the franchise guy. If Ace Bailey goes to Philadelphia, he's not as important as Embiid. He's not as important as Tyrese Maxey. Paul George still has to start. Everybody's obsessed with Jared McCain. And ultimately, Donnie, you know this, the reason why everyone tells these kids to leave year number 1 out of college is let's start going on the max deal. Is Ace Bailey going to be able to give it? He wonders probably, is he going to get the opportunity to get to the point where the Sixers go, he's worth a max contract? And I think that is a legitimate question.
Like, I understand your question where it comes from, but it's just like, well, okay, Embiid, he's probably broken down in 2 years, and Paul George will be gone. Then that's the time where I go, this is my team, my max contract. Watch me take this into the stratosphere. And you can do that with anything, but like, let me tank because I want to get to a horrible franchise and then show them I can shoot the ball 30 times a game. It's like, are we doing this backward? Like, if you are a really good player, you're going to be really good wherever you go. But just, again, in the light of you don't know how the future turns out. Let's just say he fights to get to Brooklyn, Kevin. Boom, year number 1, catastrophic knee injury. You know what would have been awesome for this kid? To have an extra $15 million in his pocket that would have been guaranteed that he didn't get. Like, I don't know where the advice can come from for a guy who's like, man, the best option is to make yourself look like a fool, to drop down, because then after a while, Kevin, you don't then get the benefit of the doubt.
Well,
you don't.
I think, but here's the part of that reporting, Donnie, that I think is being looked past by people, is the Ace Bailey camp seems pretty certain. They know they're not going 1. They know they're not going 2. We know that that's the case, okay? If they bypass Philly at 3, or even, right, they seem to be confident he won't fall out of the top 5. And whoever he wants to go to, again, New Orleans, Brooklyn, Toronto, whatever, will just trade up and still select him, Donnie. Because that is now again, maybe they're wrong about that. Maybe Brooklyn, let's just say it's Brooklyn. Maybe Brooklyn is looking at this and thinking to themselves, you know what? He's just going to fall to us at 8. Everybody else is so turned off by it, right? And that'll cost him more and more money. But really, Donnie, if you look at the way the prospects are being evaluated, Ace Bailey going 5th is about right. What's become very clear is he's not in the tier of Harper and Cooper Flagg in the mind of the NBA. He's not in that conversation.
Again, yes, like it's even like, and again, money is going to turn out to be money, and maybe he's a 10-time All-Pro or 10-time first-team NBA player, and you don't have to worry about it. But it's odd to me where it's like, this is so easy where people love my upside. I sit in the room with a team, we have a couple steaks, and I'm like, man, your city's great. And you say the same thing over to whatever 5 teams you meet with, and you give a good workout in for those 5 teams, which isn't hard, hour and 2. Hey, look, man, we can work on this. And like, you know what? I might make more money and put myself in the good graces of these teams. It's just funny, like you're turning off even fan base. Like, me being a Sixers fan or Sacramento or whoever the heck would end up getting the guy. It's never a good look where it's like, I'm tanking here and I don't understand, because there are times where, like, Kristaps Porzingis did this with the Philadelphia 76ers where he wanted to be a Knick. It's like, I'm not sending you my medicals because I want to drop purposely, let's just say, to the Knicks. I don't want to go there. You get those. But like him saying, like, I'm just going to refuse everybody, tank it, come off horribly, book flights, cancel them. It's the look is wrong for a kid trying to get started.
But again, Donnie, it does suggest he was given a promise from somewhere. It's very odd, Donnie, for someone to act in such a fashion, right, without there being another piece of the story. And I think we've seen the reporting suggest that the Ace Bailey camp is fairly certain that a team would trade up to make sure they get him.
Well, you know what? See, now we're getting to the point where I want the Sixers to draft him, and I hope he never plays in the NBA. Just remember Ben Simmons used to fight about,
well, that's the other part of this,
you know
Donnie.
what? Sit him.
I
don't
never
care if
want
he
to
ever
be
plays again.
Drafted by the Sixers. Ask Ben Simmons and ask Markelle Fultz. They broke two can't-miss prospects.
You know what?
That the Sixers
he's
broke.
A bum. Yep. Now we're getting to it. Ace Bailey really is a bum deep down. Can't live up with the Philadelphia hype. I've seen. We'll be back.
Boys of summer have returned and taken the field for the great American pastime.
You should monetize that.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. President Donald Trump says he does not want to carry out a U.S. strike on Iran, but suggested he stands ready to act if it's necessary to extinguish Iran's nuclear program. Trump continued his increasingly pointed warnings about the U.S. joining Israel in striking at Tehran's nuclear program, as Iran's leader warned anew that the United States would be greeted with stiff retaliation if it attacks. The U.S. Embassy in Israel began evacuating a number of diplomats and family members who had asked to leave Israel. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court upheld Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender minors. The Justice's 6-3 decision in a case from Tennessee effectively protects from legal challenges many efforts by President Donald Trump's Republican administration and state governments to roll back protections for some transgender people. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
With Progressive, renters can save on protection for the things that make your place yours, even things that don't make sense to everyone.
People always wonder why I don't get rid of my guitar since I never play. But it's like, what if I actually end up taking lessons? Sure, I've had it for 8 years, but if I get rid of it, then what will my New Year's resolution be next January?
Exactly. So bundle your renters and auto and save with Progressive and protect the things that make sense to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
Something amazing is happening. Despite a citywide blackout, this company is still up and running. That's because CDW deployed and managed a cost-effective Eaton Triplite Series Smart Pro UPS to safeguard equipment easily and reliably. Keep the power on and protect your IT equipment from electrical challenges. Triplite by Eaton and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/triplite.
You don't have to sink a 30-footer from the end of your driveway to come out of the NBA playoffs smelling like a rose. SportsGrid brings you all the angles, insights, and odds.
And more to make you a winner.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Hot topics will pop up during the show, and we'll get to them when we get to them. The NBA Finals game number 6 is tonight, and also it is an afternoon Major League Baseball card, which I haven't handicapped yet. But I do need to do that. So we will spend some time on the show. Game starts at 12:04. That's the Twins and the Reds. I've already professed my love for the New York Yankees today. And again, not the way that they can get 6 runs, which they probably should get 6 runs today, but in an alt-team total parlay. And also some thoughts here, Kevin, coming up on Major League Baseball and what we're actually seeing and try to adjust this for some numbers and doing what I'm doing here. And I'll explain that as a nice little teaser there. But we will get Major League Baseball to those early games because I want to play some wagers before we get off the show, and we will do that. Chat box out here having some fun. Darren Filippi, Aaron's out here, Francisco, Jordan P., Vic Ferrari, Kristen Hess. Awesome stuff here. Let's get started tonight. And I'll start here, Kevin. Our Fade the Public poll, which you do every morning on the early line. What is the best bet for game number 6 of the NBA Finals? We're going to start here. Thunder minus 6.5, Pacers plus 6.5, and then the over and the under, 221.5, over or under there. The favorite was the Thunder at minus 6.5. We opened that number after game number 5 at 5 points as a favorite towards the Thunder. We're now seeing 6.5 generally across the landscape. The total, that 224.5, now down to 221.5, and that's dropping. Let's start here at the price points here between the Thunder, Pacers, and the over-under. What are your thoughts on that now that we sit here on game day?
Yeah, I think for me, my most ideal way to bet this game would be Tyrese Halliburton is out and then get the best of the Indiana Pacers numbers. So if you told me Halliburton was out, I would imagine I could get close to double digits, right? I mean, 8 or 9?
No.
Why not?
I think
Donnie,
it's
they laid
already.
Donnie, they laid 15.5 in round number 1 at Memphis in the game that John Morant missed. Now, I understand the Pacers are better than Memphis. I understand it's the NBA Finals, but Donnie, this 6.5 number is basically what the game 4 spread was. I don't think it's really baked in. I don't. Not that much.
I don't think, because here's what I was talking with Joe, saying to myself, based on what's going to happen. Because number one, get this through us. Tyrese Halliburton will play in this game tonight, whether or not he can walk or not. He's going to go through pregame warm-ups and no stretch of the imagination, unless, Kevin, he collapses. They're going to say he's playing tonight and he's going to give it a go. The question is, how healthy is he going to be? So when you look at the spread from 5 to 6.5 and that massive line movement in the series, which had the Pacers as a 9-1 dog, now a 12-1 dog after the Halliburton news, we know he's going to be not all that healthy. But for me, I do think it's more likely, because here's what's going to play out this afternoon, and we'll see if it's right. And let me just go across the board to see the numbers right now. There's more 6s than 6.5s, which this morning there was more 6.5s. Because here's what's going to happen for me. Tyrese Halliburton, as I said, will be announced he's playing tonight. It's more likely that this night ends at a 6 as opposed to a 7 in the marketplace. So if you're thinking about saying, hey, you know what? I really like the Thunder. I'm telling you, just hold off on the Thunder if your line is 6.5. Halliburton will be announced playing, and that line is going to drop. If Halliburton is out, I don't think we even get to 7, Kevin. I don't. I think that's...
I would be stunned.
Where we're looking at Halliburton not being a huge part of this game.
I'd be... But again... But Donnie, healthy Halliburton, these are what the numbers were.
But after the game, it was 5, though. They were the 4.5s to 5s.
Right, but you don't think
how
Tyrese
a
Halliburton
good NBA
is worth
play? 2 points,
at this
maybe.
point in the finals, though, Donnie, I think it's worth more. And I think the way people are singularly focused on the game, I think people would lay 7s without a second thought if you told them Halliburton was out for the basketball game. That's my thought.
I think you're right about that, because I do think the general public, again, saying, okay, let me get home. Oh, Halliburton's out. Yeah, there's no way I can take the Pacers. We're just going to avalanche on the Thunder. But for me, you're looking at that price point as high as maybe a 7, whether or not he plays is the way I would play it out. But I agree with you, though. The public is just going to see starting player not playing, let me glom on. We see that all along. And be like, oh, man, starting lineup's down tonight, only to see the team that had Giannis Antetokounmpo not play tonight in the Milwaukee Bucks. How the hell they win by 10? They were getting 10 points. We've seen that happen, but the expectations are the Thunder should close it out. I'm just interested in the speculation, but for my money and the way we know, even Dr. Chow, friend of the program, tweeting out, hey, this is a weeks-long injury, but you can't get ready for weeks. But players are not just going to be like, you know what, I'm not leaving my guys. It's the NBA games. I don't even know if I'm ever getting back here. I'm going to try, even though I know I'm not healthy, which leads me to believe 4 minutes into the first quarter, you might dip out. But also, Kevin, he did play quite a bit of time on that calf injury in the last game he got injured.
That's the odd thing of it, right? You get 30-plus minutes. Now, he was obviously as ineffective as he's ever been in his career, at least scoring the basketball. So, it wasn't a great stretch of hoop from Tyrese in the game, though not many Pacers played great, really, in that game. McConnell, maybe Pascal. All in all, the tough thing of this, Donnie, is, and I know it's hard, it's you can't think for the next game, right? But if he goes out there and does play tonight, and they actually force the game 7, is he going to be better, worse, or the same going into the Sunday matchup?
Same thing. Any given moment, it could dip out. I saw somebody tweeting, if he plays, it could turn into a KD injury, where KD was on one leg and he played and just snapped it in half and cost him a whole year instead of just a few months.
Here's the problem with this stuff, because I'm not doing this because I don't want to do any I told you so's, and I won't. I'm going to be, Donnie, uncomfortable, I think, watching him play a little bit tonight because the KD stuff is so worrisome. And it's, it's a different player, it's a different timetable, but like, could you imagine, Donnie, if that is how this Pacers season ends with Halliburton out for all of next season?
Yep. Like, because he forced it, rushed it back at this point, which again, I'm saying it would
nobody
be
thinks they have a chance, right? Like they probably do, but isn't that another huge problem? It's like, if Tyrese plays, they win. Like nobody thinks they're winning regardless.
Correct. And then, if Tyrese plays, they win. And of course, they're going to go to OKC and beat them on their home court and win this championship. But again, it's anytime you see a calf injury that needs an MRI and you got 24 hours to get ready, he's not going to be right. He's not going to be healthy, which again brings into the equation 13.5 now is his points prop. This is one thing where he could play in the first quarter and dip out. He could play 30 minutes. He could be a decoy out there. But the one thing in the NBA is you can't hide. They will screen off and make sure you're the primary defender and break your leg in half repeatedly there. Those are the issues out here that you saw in the last game. If he's not effective, and again, you can rely on TJ McConnell, but he's still TJ McConnell. Like he gives you that, I didn't expect that. And now you're saying, you better go out there and get 17, TJ. It's like, that's not really what I do at this point. A lot of thought processes here by far here coming up on game number 6. And the Lakers selling for $10 billion.
SportsGrid. Stamping out the boredom in baseball year after year. We bring you all the angles, insights, and information you need. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
And Lewis looks like a man about to fall.
In 1936, it was more about fascism versus democracy. German boxer Max Schmeling KOs Joe Louis in 12 rounds at Yankee Stadium.
The fight's all over. It's one of the great upsets. And the huge underdog from Germany, Max Schmeling, is declared the winner. And scenes of pandemonium in New York.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
New University of Geneva research suggests AI better at understanding human emotional intelligence than most humans.
Is this Tech Minute about something serious, or are you just really, really good at pretending?
No, 6 generative AIs actually tested 30% better than humans on standard emotional intelligence tests.
If nothing else, I'm really good at creative guessing.
Even wilder, AI generated new emotional intelligence tests from originals as useful as the ones humans took years to develop.
It's like a party where I know everyone but don't remember their name.
Meaning AI might replace human psychologists, but only when supervised by humans. For now, anyway.
My deepest fear, knowing the answer 5 minutes before I'm asked.
Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast.
We had hit 10 straight bets on that. 4 straight money lines, 4 straight totals, and had the Draisaitl overtime winner. I can't get off of the Oilers because I've been riding them all year and riding them in the series, and I'm not going to wuss out. But I think they're probably dead to rights tomorrow night. Panthers will hoist the Stanley Cup.
It's Pharrell, Coast to Coast with Scott Farrell. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on the home of the winning edge, the SportsGrid Radio Network. In baseball, a batter gets 3 strikes. In sports gaming, you get 1.
No do-overs.
You need all the help you can get. And that's what you get with us, your trusted source for gaming odds and more. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Rolling right here. The best hour every day. You know the place to be. It's Moneyline, it's the SportsGrid Network. It's how we get down. Game number 6 in the NBA Finals tonight. We're certainly going to continue to hit that topic as we go. Favorite for OKC. For me, just being a fan, I do want to see a game number 7, right? So I voted on our Fade the Public poll for the Pacers because I want to see them win because I love the thought process of another extra couple days of content for us in the business, but a Sunday night where it's like, you know what? I'm going to turn the TV on, and no matter what happens, there's going to be a winner and a loser. Not, I want to extend it. Like, I want to Edmonton, let's go, extend it to get to game number 7. Like, when you turn that TV on, that championship is going to be awarded, and there's going to be unbelievable plays and players that you didn't know could step up, like a T.J. McConnell 26-point road victory for the Indiana Pacers. Like, wow, I didn't see that coming. So for me, Kevin, just as a rooting interest, I am all, even though I don't know if they win tonight because, again, they're underdogs, I'm all Pacered up tonight. I am.
I have bets on OKC to win the series in either 6 games or 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I win more money if they win it in 6.
Yeah.
So I may, and based on just everything, like I may confidently tonight grab the Pacers plus the points and hope it lands in that sweet, sweet middle.
Yeah.
But, I don't see a pathway for the Pacers winning this series. I think that's one of the things, Donnie, that is like tough. If we get to game 7, double-digit number, aren't you worried the game's not going to be good?
No, because I think the Pacers have bucked that trend multiple times. Like game 1, game 2, double digits. Like, and even in the last game where they didn't cover and lost by double digits, a 2-point game with 8 minutes to go.
Yeah.
It didn't get out of hand for like the last 2 minutes. So I'm with you because the thought process coming into the series was people really weren't still buying in on the Pacers, even though they didn't get handed like the Eastern Conference Championship. Like they looked good, they handled their business, and they wiped teams off the court. And I was like, oh my God, they won game number 1. Yeah, but that's still the Pacers. Easy win for OKC. And I still think OKC's winning it all, but what led me to believe that they can't put on a performance that'd be like, hey, man, turn your TV on. There's 2 minutes to go. OKC by 4. Like, this is getting really good. Like, I don't anticipate a 25-point, like, why did you guys even get on the plane? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. I worry a little bit that OKC could rout them in the closeout effort. But, if we get there, we get there. Can I do this quickly on the finals? Because I don't know when. I'm sure you want to get into the Lakers stuff.
Yeah.
If Jalen Williams wins Finals MVP, they need to get rid of all postseason awards because they're just ruining this stuff. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. There's literally no argument for Jalen Williams, none, and it's going to drive me insane that people are going to try and make this case. If he gets a single vote, whoever cast that vote should be banned from basketball for life.
Big Perk's probably feeling it. You know what I mean? He's just a better player. Come on.
SGA is averaging significantly more points while being more efficient with more assists while being more impactful defensively. Other than that, Jalen Williams has a great case.
I mean, it's the same way in cross. Like, you take the leader, right? At the end of a, let's just say, college football season, guy's the number 1 pick. And 3 weeks later, it's like, yeah, he's the number 1 pick. 3 weeks later, it's like, did you see this quarterback nobody ever heard of storming up the board? He might be the number 1 pick. Like, that, stop it. Like, we know who the best player is. They showed themselves, but we hate the fact that it's something is going to be stagnant for so long. Like, I mean, I understand SGA was on the best team, and I understand SGA was the best player in the NBA this year, and I get SGA was the best player in the Eastern Conference or Western Conference Finals, but if it's close or anywhere near in the realm, we got to give it to somebody else. Like, it's just what we do as a society. And I'm joking about like Shohei Ohtani. Like, we say, like, okay, he's going to win the MVP this year. He's going to start pitching. And then in 2 years, we're like, well, he pitches. That's not fair. Like, he can't win the MVP because he pitches. Like, that's like saying again, like SGA, well, yeah, he's good on offense, but he's good on defense. Take that away. Let's say he stinks on defense, only good on, like, no, he's good everywhere and he deserves it. Stop making things up. We do that.
If they give out the Finals MVP just based on Game 5, Jalen Williams has a case, I still wouldn't give it to him.
Yeah.
But
there it is.
If that was how we did it, then that would be, it's so bad. And like, I know there's people out there and they've got these big tickets and you want to root them in. And hey, root in your big ticket. That's fine. But just know it's ridiculous. It is absolutely
robbery.
Ridiculous.
They're forcing SGA upon us. The ratings aren't good in the finals. They're trying to hype up SGA for next year in OKC. Make sure he's got all the awards, and everybody certainly comes from him at this point here. We are going to touch on the Buss family selling for $10 billion for the Lakers. Hit some Major League Baseball. Get back to the NBA Finals and any hot topics that you got out there in the sports landscape. Because, by the way, we're a month away from football season, people. Get ready.
Playoffs.
It all comes down to this.
us, and we'll give you all the angles to make sure you win a little something. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
The best of 3 College World Series is set. Things get underway at Omaha this Saturday. It'll be number 6 LSU taking on number 13 Coastal Carolina. In Wednesday's semifinal action, LSU outlasted number 3 Arkansas 6-5 to advance, while Coastal Carolina advanced with an 11-3 win over Louisville. They scored 5 of their 6 first-inning runs before making it out. Their winning streak now at 26 games. Coastal going for their second national championship in 2 appearances. They won their first in 2016. LSU has 7 national titles. That's second among all teams. The last time they won was 2023. NBA Final Game 6 tonight in Indianapolis. The Pacers looking to stay alive, down 3-2 in the series against the Thunder. If the Pacers can force Game 7, that would be this Sunday in Oklahoma City, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Summer days just got even brighter with Kohl's epic deals. Get this, you can score tees for just $5.99, bedding for 60% off, comfy shorts only $7.99, and so much more. You do not want to miss out. Shop Kohl's epic deals for savings on all things summer now, before it's too late. Select styles, some exclusions apply. Offer ends June 22nd. See store at Kohls.com for details.
At Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Wait. Skechers put the S in comfort?
Yes, comfort you have to feel to believe. Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Let me try. Okay, I'm just stepping in and... Oh, wow. Skechers put the S in comfort.
Duh. We told you. Find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Let's keep it real.
Baseball can be boring.
That's where Sports Grid comes in.
Nothing livens up those 9 innings like sports gaming. You might experience something you've never felt in a baseball game, a quickened pulse. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
$10 billion, people. The Buss family sold the Lakers. And that's what's interesting, too, because it comes off like the Rafael Devers trade on Sunday. Like this doesn't come like, Jeannie, this is Roger. You want to sell the team? Yeah. What do you say? $10 billion? Cool. Done. Boom. Put it out to the press. Like this is a $10 billion purchase that probably took months and months and months, if not years, to complete. How do we keep this close? How do we keep this close? I don't know.
You always find a way on one of these stupid intros.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeannie, listen, I hate to bother you early on this Wednesday morning, but just...
I want to buy your team.
I was looking to cop the Lakers from you. What do you think? Let me start with this. This is something that I have brought up to you on this show a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And you've agreed with me.
Yes.
You have. You don't care that much, right? It's not one of those things I can rope you into like usually a long time.
Yeah.
But I have always said Forbes saying that the Warriors
just make it up
way more valuable than the Lakers was insane. It's the Lakers. Now, the tweet comes out. I do what any normal person would.
Mm-hmm.
Immediate victory lap, which is what no one else is doing, by the way, right? Everyone else is like, whoa, the Buss family. And I'm like, no, boom, nailed it. Look at me. I knew Forbes was wrong. Forbes. It's their whole brand. They do it for a living. I was right. Someone replied to me.
Mm-hmm.
The Warriors own their arena. And?
Yeah.
What is that? Clearly, the Lakers not owning their arena
isn't that big of a
something
deal.
They put too much into, unless you think the Warriors are now worth $12 billion, which they are not.
Mm-hmm.
They messed up the evaluation. I get it. The Warriors own their own thing. They're very valuable. They're probably worth around what Forbes thinks they're worth. The idea that the Lakers were worth $7 billion and the Warriors were worth 8.8 was wrong.
Yeah.
And I was right about
Clearly
that for
wrong
years.
in that. Yep, clearly wrong with that. So the Lakers move on. The Buss family's out. The Celtics have sold. The Mavericks have sold. Now, again, the Minnesota Timberwolves have sold, and now the Los Angeles Lakers, where, these And some of these purchases, right? Like you date back, I think the Buss family in the late 70s got it for like under $70 million and you cash out for $10 billion. Like what an investment. That's fantastic. But I do find it interesting where, right now is the high watermark, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And theoretically, whenever you buy a professional team, it only goes up and continues to go up. And the Buss family isn't like liquid outside of it. Like we own Dow Chemicals. Like that's where our family comes from. They're basically, okay, Dad gave this to us. It's expensive. Dad had money. Yeah, because Dad had real estate holdings and stuff. But we're not that, you can look across the street and be like, Bombers, $20 billion. Like this guy owns a team because he just thinks it's fun to own a team. And hey, we want a new arena, which again, the Lakers don't own the Staples Center. It's like, I don't care. How much? $2 billion? Yeah, here's cash. Here's extra $100 million for the workers out there too. Just give me a new arena and I'll build it. Like money doesn't matter to certain ownership groups. But now you're the Buss family. Hey, Dad bought in. We had no debt. We're selling out, and who knows what taxes and goes through. But let's just say Jeannie Buss and splits it up with the family, puts $2.5 billion in her own pocket. Hey, I'm getting older. It's stressful to own this team and holding things up, and I don't know the future of the NBA. Let me take my money and run, and somebody paid for it, and away you go.
And I don't think it has anything to do with probably the future of the NBA, Donnie. I think it's just, at the end of the day, the Lakers, the Buss family, to your point, not in terms of NBA owners, not on the rich side. And you ultimately get a group that already owns the Dodgers, who saw an ability to probably kind of combine the situations now, and you can almost put it under one umbrella. And the reality is, they get $10 billion, which, and I know I just said that Forbes was wrong, but Donnie, that's $3 billion over what it was valued at, right? So that's an insane amount of money.
It is.
In terms of what they were given over expectation. So you kind of get to a point where you have to say yes. And we've talked about it, but the exclusiveness that comes with being an owner. The Lakers and Dodgers will never be for sale again in our lifetimes. We will not see them up for sale again.
See how long they can hold it on to the second eight. Now Lakers fans are like, second eight, Brim. We're going all the way up top now. We can afford whoever we want at this point. Bird rights be damned. Come over here. We'll pay you whatever you want because we can afford it. So I look at it too, and the Lakers fans, like you have it really, if you're a Dodger fan, you have it great. It's clearly a group that goes, we all aren't in this to make money. Yes, when we sell the team in 30 years, we'll make billions on it. But right now, if we can hold the ship tight, build the brand of business, we're not hurting for money. And Dodger fans got to love, like, hey, man, we pay $30 for beers and $100 to park and ridiculous prices for tickets and just to get here. And we expect our ownership group to return that investment to us. And they do. So if you're a Lakers fan going like, all right, well, it's not as if the Dodgers, when the time they were bought by this group here, were any good. Like the Dodgers were fumbling around. They had a horrible ownership group previously before them. Like, man, now we expect to have like Shohei Ohtani type signings every year, which again, it's a little bit different in the NBA. We get that. But at no point are they going to be like, Lucas, $400 million? Sounds like about 6 first-rounders, and we'll ship them off to Brooklyn, and we just can't afford this. Like, no, the Lakers are not in it now to say, hey, we're going to make a financial decision. It's just business decisions now.
100%. And that's and they'll probably then like command a player of Luka's level is on the team, right? Like they're going to be very tank adverse. They're not going to be interested in doing anything like that. And you find out, Donnie, like it sounds so bizarre, but basically due to how the Lakers were being ran under the Buss family, like they didn't have the best staff, if front office, all those things, because they couldn't afford to. And
they're fighting continuously with Jeannie Buss just to wrestle control from her brother. Like, hey, I want this guy. No, I want this guy. I want to make a trade. I don't want to make this trade. I want MasterCard to be our top. No, I want Visa. Like they were a mess for a while until they got it figured out.
Well, that's the thing, right? I think not only they were known as like not the best owners. So you come in, again, you get $3 billion more than anticipated. Like, you cannot stress how instead of $7 billion, they got $10 million. I mean, that's almost 50% more than expected. I think like that is a remarkable haul. It's not the same scale, right, Donnie? But I heard people mention with the Desmond Bane Memphis thing. It's like, I didn't know Desmond Bane was available. He wasn't. They gave up 4 first-round picks. I didn't know the Lakers were for sale. They weren't. They gave them $10 billion and shattered. The Cowboys were valued at just $10 billion. Like that. The Celtics went for 6. Like realistically, Donnie, the guys that just bought the Celtics are over the moon. If the Celtics were sold after the Lakers, it's not like the NFL quarterback stuff where they would have gone for 11, but they probably would have gone for 8.
Yeah, a little bit more, because then you would have had them say, well, they sold for 10. I'm not in any hurry to sell here, because you're right about it. Like, Jeannie Buss wasn't going out to dinner for the past 6 months with different ownership groups. Like, look, I need to sell this team and get out of it. It's almost like you're out at dinner one time and somebody goes, I know somebody would love to buy your team. It's like, who are you talking about? Mark? Yeah, Mark would love that. But he's throwing out some big numbers. Yeah, and the next day it's like, hey, Mark, what's up? How you doing? Hey, that offer is still out there. I told you 2 years ago. It's like, what do you? And it's like, wait, you know what? Let's get these lawyers involved here just to see if we can do it. It's crazy amount of money. And again, they're not even, usually like you sell a business, I'm like, hey, I bought it for 6, sold it for 7. Like, no, like they got it for $70 million and sold it for $10 billion. Like, you're not worried about, hey, the commissions are going to have to pay on this.
It's one of those things that you look at, right? I saw in 2000, the Royals were bought for a little under $100 million, and they're now, about $1 billion.
What year was this?
Probably 2000, the Royals.
Yeah.
So I try and think about, like, what could be comparable? Like, realistically, Donnie, what would the Indiana Fever be worth right now?
Yeah, it's true. All-time high, way more. Because it's like when Cleveland, did Gilbert always have it? Or like, the thought process was like Gilbert had it, a franchise that looked like it's going to be bankrupt. You got LeBron, it's like, now I'm worth $400 million more.
Yeah.
Overnight, one player came here. Like when Zion went to New Orleans, like a floundering franchise, still in a bigger city, but yes, they were happy to get Zion. Like, you're actually on the map now. Like, I could pick up the phone and be like, you want to buy this team to get Zion? Yeah, hey, now I got buyers over here.
Yeah. The WNBA, they probably should sell those teams. I bet you could fetch at minimum $50 million a piece.
$1, $2. Not if Kelsey Plum is blowing off fans. What kind of support is that for the fan base? Baseball next.
By the end, you might not have a ring on your finger. Stay tuned and you'll have a little something in your pocket. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
NBA Final Game 6 tonight in Indianapolis. The Pacers looking to stay alive, down 3-2 in the series against the Thunder. If the Pacers can force Game 7, that would be this Sunday in Oklahoma City, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. The best of 3 College World Series is set. Things get underway at Omaha this Saturday. It'll be number 6 LSU taking on number 13 Coastal Carolina. In Wednesday's semifinal action, LSU outlasted number 3 Arkansas 6-5 to advance, while Coastal Carolina advanced with an 11-3 win over Louisville. They scored 5 of their 6 first-inning runs before making it out. Their winning streak now at 26 games. Coastal going for their second national championship in 2 appearances. They won their first in 2016. LSU has 7 national titles. That's second among all teams. The last time they won was 2023.
Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to handle the busy holiday season, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Springtime. When a young man's fancy turns to
Get your mind out of the gutter.
For sports gaming strategies and information that gives you an unfair advantage, you'll find it all right here.
It's the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Right back out of here. Major League Baseball. We do have early games on the schedule. 12:40, 105, 105, 110. And I do think there's 3 games I want to get down on. Now, let me understand the philosophy of what I've been doing. I'm pretty successful yesterday. Yankees burned me. I needed the Phillies to get over 2.5 runs. Easily got that. The Reds easily got theirs early in the game. Like both of those Phillies and Reds games were done, I think, by the 3rd inning in both of those for me. The Yankees was the only game I was waiting on. Solo home run in the second by Jazz Chisholm. Solo home run by Bellinger. Like, go figure. I need 3 runs. You tell me before the game, Kevin. Oh, by the way, they're going to hit 2 home runs for the Yankees. What would they get, 6 or 7 runs? They got 2 runs. Anthony Volpe, I was like, all right, worst case scenario, we're going to get to extra innings. Volpe blows an easy double play ball, throws the baseball away. They only got 1 run out of that to make it 3-2. And then the Yankees destruct in the bottom of the 8th inning. First 2 runners on. Can't get anybody home. Just the way it went. I was like, man, that stinks. That should have been an easy winner, but didn't happen. But hear me out on this, too, because yesterday, if you looked at the final scores, most of those games staying well under the total. And I tweeted out an Andrew McCutcheon tweet from about a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I talked to guys in Major League Baseball. The seams are high. The drag is there. It's real. And they say they can't do anything about it. So now today, you're going to get a true test of it. It's hot, muggy conditions like Cincinnati, or particularly Washington and New York, the first 2 games or so of the day. Mid-90s, you walk outside right now in the Northeast, you might not be able to make it to your driveway because you're fighting like a tackling dummy. Like, man, what's going on out here? Who's holding me back? It's the weather. It's that heavy. It's that stiff. That ball is going to travel. But I started now, Kevin, kicking over to, instead of doing RBI props, which I still love. But again, RBI props are generated on people hitting home runs and extra base hits. And yes, we're still getting those on a day-to-day basis. But the team totals, Kevin, which are still like discounts, like 3.5 minus 150 on a not-so-good team against a good pitcher. Average, like the Yankees last night, 5.5 runs. Look, I think they can get 6 runs off of a bad pitcher, but something just isn't adding up right now. And again, case in point, the Yankees get 3-2 game yesterday. Like, games were ending 3-1s, 2-0s, and staying under. So I've sort of switched, Kevin, to alternate team totals where instead of a 4.5 or 5.5, I'm taking them all stacked up at 2.5 gone. I know they can beat these pitchers up for this. And if it doesn't explode, it's okay at this point. But now I say to myself, all right, 2.5s, and also the PSA here. Usually I'm a big Bet365 guy. I use FanDuel quite a bit. Not really on DraftKings, but you get to know your books and where you're at. So I look at price points this week, Kevin, on a couple alt parlays. I'm like, hey, man, minus 179, minus 183 teams, 2.5 runs. Well, that doesn't add up. I don't like that too much. Let me just look around. I go to Caesars, like case in point last night. Like the Yankees to score 2.5 runs, minus 1,000, minus 1,100, FanDuel Bet365. I go over to Caesars, minus 667. I look at the Phillies, who are like minus 600 on a 2.5. I go over to Caesars, minus 375. Like, I'm talking about lines that I would have bet at minus 165. Now I'm getting plus 108 on. So Caesars have been very good, at least for right now, on taking a look at alt parlays as opposed to the same things. Because one book's better on Moneyline, one book's better on totals, one's better on touchdowns. We all know that in the places you like to shop, but just food for thought there. When I'm doing these alt parlays, Caesars is by far the best. So 3 games today I'm looking at, Kevin. It's like, all right, Minnesota, Cincinnati, Colorado, Washington, and then again the Yankees. I want to start with the Yankees because it's...
Can I ask you a quick question on the Yankees?
Go ahead. Sure, yeah.
Why was Aaron Judge's home run number what it was yesterday?
No, I don't know.
Well,
I'm glad you said that, though.
Because I look at the weather, it didn't look like it was, it was 100 degrees at the Bronx.
It was warm. But again, nothing out there. Like the first ones where I got sent, I think it was Aaron, who usually pops in this chat box quite a bit, sent that over. And it's like, I was like, well, what are we doing here? So my conspiracy head starts twisting. Somebody got word that Major League Baseball understands you're having issues now because people aren't hitting home runs, and that's a bad thing, and you want more of hype. And the Yankees are really struggling, and Rob Manfred goes, pick up the phone here. Throw those balls out. We got the case coming in tonight. It's like, wait, what? Because everybody came behind him had low numbers across the board. So that didn't happen that way. But when I see that number, I go, this guy can't hit anything right now. Neither can the Yankees. And now I'm seeing the lowest price point I've ever seen in the history of the home run market just reappear one night. Like, did somebody understand the memo got sent out to tear up these old baseballs? I don't care if there's a million of them. Get the new baseballs in here with the lower seams and let's go. Like, and the only sport we worry about that. Like, hey, but damn it, I'm on a losing streak in totals. And Rob Manfred comes out and is like, yeah, those balls were, we don't know where they came from. We had to use them, but we didn't want to get out to the public. Like, so you're telling me you played with a dumbed down baseball and we had no idea. What sport does this?
I don't know. It's bizarre. It's so weird. I thought they were done with that. I also thought that, like, for a while we were having solid home run seasons across baseball. So, like, I don't know if they do what they always do, which is, oh my God, are people enjoying our sport? Let's ruin it because that's their favorite thing to do. But I saw that number. I'm like, that's lower than when Judge was in Coors.
Yes.
So I just didn't understand. I thought it was like historic weather at the Bronx, and it wasn't that.
Yes. Like, okay, we removed the outfield fence. The fence is broken, We have to move the right field. It's only 210 to hit a home run in the right field and 360 in the left field now at this point. It's like, you're nuts. I was like, that's got to be an error posted, but FanDuel was the lowest for a while, but Francisco's out there plus 210. He eventually ended up around 2-1, which is still ridiculous. 2-1 for a guy that's like, hey, what did he do in his last 30 bats? I don't know. He strikes out every time he's up. And you're going to put that number here, but also as like how bad the pitchers have been for the Angels and still locking down the New York Yankees. So today they come up in the Bronx and you're saying, well, the last 30-day numbers aren't really that great on the New York Yankees. But again, Kevin, it's Tyler Anderson on the mound. There's 32 pitchers on the card today. Last 30 days, minimum of 5 innings pitched. The worst pitcher on the card is Tyler Anderson today.
Whoa.
So, like, Kohanowitz wasn't very good last night with a high xFIP, which means, hey, you should hit home runs. Yankees got 2. But it was like, well, we're either going to hit home runs or not do a damn thing and strike out every time. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So today, you have a guy with a 7 ERA in the last month and the highest xFIP on the card. And you're like, even though I don't love the Yankees lineup, it's just a recipe for, Kevin, 90 degrees and 13-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to dead center field in Yankee Stadium this afternoon. Like, I think the Yankees' run line makes sense. They're heavy favorites. But I know people are like, Donnie, not till they come back and start hitting. I get it. I thought they would hit last night. They should have had more than 2 runs. They didn't. But this is one of those games, Kevin, where I look at for the Yankees and say, if they lose today like 3-1, Boone won't be the manager tomorrow. I like, this is one of those where something doesn't add up. We're losing at home to horrendous franchises with terrible pitchers, and we can't get, like last night, 3 hits against Kohanowitz and an average bullpen in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Brutal, man. Brutal.
Over-under for that game, Donnie, is 3.5 home runs.
Yeah, see what I mean?
That's
like, we should get home
high
runs.
as you'll see. That's about as high as you'll see.
I'm telling you, the first 3 games on the card, I'm going to hit them next. It's Minnesota, Cincinnati, L.A., New York, and Colorado, Washington. I'm going to take them all on a team total alt line. Find out next.
We don't care what your high school girlfriend told you. You are a winner.
Or at least you will be if you keep it here.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
For anyone who's worried about back taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next, stop and listen. Not filing your taxes can have severe consequences, especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes, hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. That's 800-816-4492.
Sports Rage tonight.
Panama are like 15-1, guys. Panama are good. Panama are not scared of Mexico. They're not scared of the U.S. They're not scared of Canada. I personally think Canada is great value at plus 600. I'd be surprised in the Gold Cup if Canada doesn't make it to the final. I'd be disappointed. Getting Canada at like plus 600 to win the Gold Cup. But I bring up Panama because they're dangerous, guys.
It's Sports Rage Tonight with Gabe Morency. Weekdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. If you want to be an alpha,
you've got to get the winning edge.
It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory with the winning edge. You're in the big leagues. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Went out some dinner money tonight. Just placed a wager here on Caesars. Again, alt team total parlay 3-way, Kevin. I'm fading great environments there. I'm fading the pitchers in great environments and the bad pitchers that they are. Here's the weather conditions, Kevin, which I'm going to take the Minnesota Twins alt team total over 2.5 runs. 75 degrees at first pitch, wind blowing dead center field at about 15 miles per hour. Bad pitcher on the mound today, it's Nick Martinez. XFIP number, I have, again, 32 pitchers on my card. He's 30th today. ERA 4.40, which is okay. I mean, not total disaster, but an XFIP of 5. You look at the Minnesota lineup tonight, and if we just review that quickly here, I have 1, 2, that's the wrong one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 batters that are all above weighted on base percentages of 319 or higher against right-handed pitching. So a bad pitcher, small ballpark, 75-degree temperatures, 15-mile-an-hour wind blowing at the center field. I'll take them. They should be able to get that done here. Scored 2 last night, but it was only a 6-inning game. But a bad pitcher's on the mound today. Last night, they didn't have that. Game number 2, Kevin, that we're going to take a look at today, and that is Chase Dollander on the mound for Colorado. He's 31st on my card today out of 32 pitchers. His last 30 days, a 7.5 ERA and a 5.05 xFIP number. I take a look at Washington today. You want to say, all right, well, how are the weather conditions down in Washington? 90 degrees at first pitch, 12-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to right center field today. You look at the lineup for the Washington Nationals last 30 days, Kevin, against righties, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 batters that are positive, weighted on base percentages against righties, against a bad pitcher. I'll take that. And then the Yankees in the Bronx today, 90 degrees at first temperature, 13-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to dead center field. Yes, the lineup doesn't look great, but still against lefties, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total batters with a weighted on base percentage that are high. And Tyler Anderson, the worst pitcher on the card with a 7 ERA. So I'm taking 3 teams that match up well against terrible pitchers in unbelievably good hitting environments here from where those teams are with temperatures and winds blowing out. It's expensive, though. It's minus 161. So I put $100 down to win $62 here in that environment, but I can't pass that up. It's an afternoon fade for me, Kevin. I'm involved and ready to go. Let's go.
Now, the question, Donnie, on this baseball slate. Who is to blame for us not getting Skeens versus Scooball?
Yeah, we were talking about that this morning. Is it one of those where, like, Detroit's like, we're going to put this guy anywhere, like Scooball, we're going to beat you anyway. And the Pittsburgh's like, well, we don't want to waste Skeens and go 1-0 loss, which is exactly what would happen there. So let's pitch Skeens against Montero, who's not that good, and will be the favorite in that game. Because, again, if you're using your mind, I actually like this from Pittsburgh. For the fans, it does stink because it'd be fun to have it watch it, but you would be a underdog and a decided underdog with Skeens on the mound. And then go, well, pitch him game 2 and we're the favorite? All right, yeah, we'll get out of here 1-1 as opposed to leaving 0-2 at that point. Makes sense.
The thing is, from a strategic point, you got it. It's the team with the best record in baseball going up against a team with the 3rd worst record in baseball.
Yes.
You know what, Pittsburgh, okay? Like, you're not doing great anyway, man. Just give us the matchup. I feel like that's... And I'm surprised in some capacity Donnie Skeens wasn't like, yeah, give me the ball. I wonder if, though, maybe Skeens was like, no, I want to pitch. Like, my routine lines up with pitching at 540 type of thing. I don't know if that's the case at all, but I don't know. I can't believe we had that opportunity and we're not getting it. It's just
we need Livy Dunn to send a text out to be like, here's the screenshots. Paul texted Tarek, and Tarek's like, I want no piece of this, man. Don't you dare line up against me. I'm going to avoid you. Like, that's what we need in the streets, like a good old rivalry. But you're right about it. The pitcher that's leading the AL Cy Young race versus the NL Cy Young race would have been so much fun to watch and see that bad boy play out to see who would have won. Now, granted, Detroit's a much better team, but you're just trying to say to yourself, like, if you are Pittsburgh and you caring about wins, it's like, well, we can just throw away a skiing start and probably end up 0-2, or we can give ourselves a chance there in game number 2. But you're right about it. It's probably more likely I'm more comfortable in this spot, or I've been itching to go. I was supposed to start yesterday, didn't start. Now, like, Skeens is on regular breath. You know what I mean? So it does add into I need to just get going as opposed to later in the day. So understandably for me at that point.
What do you think that total would have been, though? 6 flat?
Yeah, 6 flat.
I think it might.
You couldn't go 5.5, right? Could it be 5.5?
You sure? Are you sure?
Like, what's Pittsburgh's team total? Like, a run? Like, is that what Pittsburgh would be? A run? Which I actually would take you over. I would take.
No, I think it'd be 1.5. Here's my problem, Donnie. Right at 6, you know, you would say like, listen, like, like when you get a team total over a flat 1, you're like, if I just get 1, like, we're good, right? But think of it the other way. Game total 6. It's not getting a 7. That's a free bet. It's
free
a free bet.
Take the under, roll it over. Free bet. NBA Finals. Kev's in studio tonight. The boys are live. Tomorrow's a Friday. The way we go. For JP behind the wheels of steel, it's your boy Donnie Rightside and Kevin Walsh. Thanks for tuning in the Moneyline. We'll see you tomorrow.
living. Actionable insights, analysis, odds, and expert perspective on sports gaming. If we do say so ourselves, this is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
National championship in 2 appearances. They won their first in 2016. LSU has 7 national titles. That's second among all teams. Was 2023. NBA Final Game 6 tonight in Indianapolis. The Pacers looking to stay alive, down 3-2 in the series against the Thunder. If the Pacers can force Game 7, that would be this Sunday in Oklahoma City, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Summer days just got even brighter with Kohl's epic deals. Get this. You can score tees for just $5.99. Bedding for 60% off. Comfy shorts only $7.99. And so much more. You do not want to miss out. Shop Kohl's epic deals for savings on all things summer now, before it's too late. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. Offer ends June 22nd. See store at Kohls.com for details.
At Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Wait. Skechers put the S in comfort?
Yes, comfort you have to feel to believe. Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Let me try. Okay, I'm just stepping in and... Oh, wow. Skechers put the S in comfort.
Duh. We told you. Find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
If you want to be an alpha,
you've got to get the winning edge.
It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory
with the winning edge.
You're in the big leagues. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
Welcome to Football Full Circle right here on the SportsGrid Radio Network, Sirius Channel 159. Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel talking NFL, and we're going to sprinkle in a little college today on today's show. We'll lead with the news of the day. Shedeur Sanders, Scott, did it again. I'm not talking about a pick or a touchdown pass. He got caught driving 101 miles an hour in a basically 60-mile-an-hour zone. So, bigger question, does Shedeur Sanders make the roster for the Cleveland Browns starting week number 1?
Well, I tell you, Joe, I try and defend this kid. I really do in the whole situation. You know, I keep on bringing it up when we do shows. You know, why didn't this team draft him in the 3rd or 4th round? And like, you know, but every time you turn around, he's doing or saying something stupid. You know, I wonder. I wonder if he'll ever step on an NFL field. I mean, listen, did he commit a crime? No, you know, but he's speeding, you know. What, could he have been drunk? Is that going to be the next time? I mean, you got Suggs, you know, talking, you know, from jail about how he's sorry and this and that, you know, 2 days earlier. And then you got another nitwit now that's going 100, not like 70 or 80. You know, all of a sudden you look down at the dial, you're going a little bit faster than you should. I mean, 100 miles an hour. I mean, so, you know, is he going to be on the team? Is he going to be on the field? You know, I'm going to say no. If he can't survive this, you know, is he going to be able to survive training camp? Is he going to be ticked off if a coach tells him to run an extra lap or, you know, one of his wide receivers drops a ball? I mean, man, the dude just needs a slap in the face and just wake up to reality of you're not your father. Right? You're not Deion Sanders. You don't have that ability. You don't have that kind of money. Right. But it doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon. So, you know, like I said, I want to defend him. I want to stick up for him and root for him. I really do. But, man, he's just a bozo. Really is.
Yeah, he's a 40-1 shot now, Scott, to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Ashton Genty, the Las Vegas Raider, former Boise State running back, is the favorite at plus 270, followed by Cam Ward at 3-1 for the Tennessee Titans. You know, the reason why I bring it up is, okay, you know that you dropped to the 5th round, right? You know how teams viewed you in the early part of the process. You're on and involved in OTAs. You're starting to produce a little bit to maybe, you know, just wipe away the negativity for some of those teams and some of those pundits. And then the off-the-field issues will always bring you down. It's one thing if you're an elite player, right? Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, right? Teams can overlook that when you're just a great, exceptional talent, and they'll put up with it to a degree. When you're basically marginal, and we're just judging based off the tape, and where he fell in terms of the draft to the 5th round, and knowing that Dylan Gabriel was picked ahead of you, why would you jeopardize your career, especially on this team that took a shot on you, by driving 100 miles an hour?
Yeah. It just, this was like the worst team or maybe the most fitting team to draft him. I'll start real quickly with fitting just because it's the Cleveland Browns, right? Whatever can go wrong goes wrong with the Cleveland Browns, so he fits right in, right? But it's the worst team because he needed a team. He needed to go to with Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin. Maybe San Francisco's got a stable outfit there. Baltimore's pretty stable with John Harbaugh. Go to a team that's got success, has success, and is headed in the right direction. Not the Cleveland Browns, where you're going to fit in with every misfit, malcontent, and bozo in the world. And that just allows him to do things like this. I don't know if he was drafted by Pittsburgh or if he was drafted by Baltimore or one of those other teams, with a real stable franchise and a real stable head coach, maybe he wouldn't feel like he could do whatever he wants, and maybe he will buy in line. I don't think it's going to happen for him for the Browns, because if he had the attitude, Joe, that you're alluding to, okay, you know what, I got to show the world, they disrespected me, he wouldn't be doing stuff like this. He just wouldn't. So
I agree. And now I feel like you do, that as we inch, closer to training camp and as this situation plays out, maybe Cleveland does drop him or release him, and maybe he does play on another team. I will say and we brought this up throughout the week, starting week 1, you believe that the best chance to win games immediately is with the veteran Joe Flacco. They did make it to the playoffs a couple of years ago. That's where Stefanski did win Coach of the Year. They lost to the Houston Texans and C.J. Stroud. I actually believe and buy into Kenny Pickett a little bit. And I know Pickett hasn't showed a lot on the NFL level, but in this organization with Jerry Jeudy and being with a coach in Kevin Stefanski that has coached up quarterbacks, at least with Jameis and Joe Flacco, I think there's more upside with Kenny Pickett starting week number 1.
There might be, but, you're going to be living in purgatory, right? I mean, I think he signed a 1-year deal. I don't think it was a multi-year deal, or if it was, I'm sure only 1 year was guaranteed. So what brings him back? I always say this with clubs like quarterback situation. What brings Aaron Rodgers back next season to Pittsburgh? What brings Justin Fields back to the New York Jets? What's going to bring Kenny Pickett back? In 8 and 9, 9 and 8 even?
Yeah.
You're going to really buy in that much to him? You're going to have to give him a lot of money. Minnesota didn't want to do that with Sam Darnold. Now, they had a backup, with J.J. McCarthy in hand.
Right.
But when push came to shove, did they really want to give Sam Darnold a 3 or 4 year contract? No. Is Cleveland really going to give Kenny Pickett, after an 8 and 9 season, a 3-year deal, probably $50 million guaranteed?
You think
he's got to show something.
I don't know about
2 years,
50.
right?
I'll just
guaranteed?
say, yeah.
I would think so. What did Darnold get? Darnold got about that, right?
Darnold, I thought, got like 46. I will look at it in the break
46,
in regard.
50.
I'm just saying,
50,
when you think about the price tag, I will say this, though. When you look at Darnold and you look at Baker, right, and you look at both of those quarterbacks in terms of the progression, moving on from a bunch of teams and then finally getting it. When you look at Kenny Pickett, really only one opportunity to start, and that was within Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin, right? And knowing how that offense is built, where they're methodical and they don't open it up, right? He moves in state. He goes to the Super Bowl champs and backs up Jalen Hurts, right? And show glimpses, at least, Scott, that he was a more mature, poised quarterback than he was in year number 1, right, with Pittsburgh. So, again, only one stint starting. If he started in Philadelphia and now this is his 3rd team, I'd say you're right. But if he does get the start in Cleveland, it would only be his 2nd team with a coach that we know has elevated quarterback play with Joe Flacco, right? They scraped Flacco off the street, and he had monumental performances.
Don't make this guy out to be, Vince Lombardi here. He didn't. What did he do with Deshaun Watson? Nothing, right? I mean,
but that's more on. Wait a second. That could be, and I honestly believe this. There was a situation where I just believed Deshaun Watson was checked out. I honestly believe that. And we talk about the numbers. Flacco had multiple 300-yard games. Jameis had multiple 300-yard games when he backed up last year and started. Deshaun Watson, in basically almost 2 years of starting for the Cleveland Browns, Not one 300-yard game. So are we putting that on Stefanski, or are we putting that on Deshaun Watson not being prepared and not buying in after getting the big bag of cash?
Both, Joe. I mean, you sound like Sherpan, who was always defending Stuart Skinner as he left 5,000 goals. Well, it wasn't his fault. Skinner sucks.
Skinner sucks anyway.
Thank you. Finally come to the realization. Well, same thing here. You got to take responsibility. He's got to take some responsibility for even Shedeur Sanders, right? Because if I'm drafting Shedeur Sanders, you know his personality. You as the head coach, you have to pull him aside and say, listen, you know what? You fell down to us at 5. I believe in you. You have a chance. You have a great chance here. We don't have a number 1 quarterback. Don't do anything stupid. Come to camp, work out, do all the other things that you need to do to be a real NFL quarterback and blah, 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 blah. Sell him on it. And he apparently didn't do it. So you want to blame Sanders? Yes, I get that. Ultimately, he's responsible. You want to blame Deshaun Watson? Yes, ultimately, he's responsible. But the head coach has got to take responsibility, too. If you can't get guys to buy in, there's the door, Mr. Stefanski. I'll get someone else who can.
We'll see. It looked like Stefanski wasn't hot on Shedeur Sanders when they drafted him. We'll talk more NFL coming right back.
Four out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid, and we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin.
He just gives that 5.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. President Donald Trump says he does not want to carry out a U.S. strike on Iran, but suggested he stands ready to act if it's necessary to extinguish Iran's nuclear program. Trump continued his increasingly pointed warnings about the U.S. joining Israel in striking at Tehran's nuclear program, as Iran's leader warned anew that the United States would be greeted with stiff retaliation if it attacks. The U.S. Embassy in Israel began evacuating a number of diplomats and family members who had asked to leave Israel. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court upheld Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender minors. The justice's 6-3 decision in a case from Tennessee effectively protects from legal challenges many efforts by President Donald Trump's Republican administration and state governments to roll back protections for some transgender people. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
With Progressive, renters can save on protection for the things that make your place yours, even things that don't make sense to everyone.
People always wonder why I don't get rid of my guitar since I never play. But it's like, what if I actually end up taking lessons? Sure, I've had it for 8 years, but if I get rid of it, then what will my New Year's resolution be next January?
Exactly. So bundle your renters and auto and save with Progressive and protect the things that make sense to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
Something amazing is happening. Despite a citywide blackout, this company is still up and running. That's because CDW deployed and managed a cost-effective Eaton Trip Light Series Smart Pro UPS to safeguard equipment easily and reliably. Keep the power on and protect your IT equipment from electrical challenges. Trip Light by Eaton and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/triplight.
There's something you should know and always remember.
SportsGrid does not increase luck.
We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck,
go find a horseshoe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, back on Football Full Circle. Scott and I have been breaking down a bunch of prop bets and offers up on FanDuel for the NFL season. We'll dive into some team specials, and then we'll also look at Week 1 spreads, that the ones that we didn't get to the other day, and then we'll talk college football. But they don't, for the team specials, and I know why, Scott, don't have Cleveland up there. We don't know who the starting quarterback's going to be. Once they make that known, then potentially we could throw some up there in terms of the markets. I do want to touch a couple that we didn't talk about the other day. Let's look at Seattle. Seattle has pretty good numbers when you just think about it. And Sam Darnold, we talked about it, $47 million, 3-year deal. They lose DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh. JSN could be an elite number 1 now, emerging. They do have Zach Charbonnet. Seattle to score 1 touchdown in every regular season game this year is plus 280. It's a pretty good number if you think about it. If you're buying into the offense, we know they like to run the football. McDonald, the defensive-minded head coach, but it's not a bad number to score a touchdown in every game.
Yeah, I can't imagine there'd be too many teams, with everything is said and done. Like you said, they don't have the ball out there for whatever reason. But I can't imagine, the numbers are generally between plus 200 and minus 200. Like that plus 280 is a big fat number. That is. It's amazing. People just don't buy into Sam Darnold at all. And then they just throw out what he did last year and just remember those last couple of games or write it off to just Minnesota has great weapons like they do because they're getting no respect. I did look it up, Joe. Little pop quiz here, right? So we got 32 teams. I'll give you a hint in that I was surprised at the results. I looked it up. Guess how many teams out of 32 did not score a touchdown in a game last year? At least one game.
I believe the Giants are on that list. So hang on, let me see. I'm thinking of games right now in every game. I think I'm going to say 4, Scott. I'm going to say Cleveland, the New York Giants, because I remember Cleveland lost, I think, 24-9 to Cincinnati. So I remember that. Las Vegas in that game with Atlanta, did they score a touchdown? Or was it the Falcons that didn't score? They had 5 field goals. One of those two. And then it'll probably be like a team like Washington. So go ahead. So how many?
You're not even close. Let's try one more. And you're not even close. Yeah.
So 10 teams?
Not even close.
Wow. Really? All right, then 21. That's my final thing.
Final offer? Pretty close.
Yeah.
22 out of the 32 teams had at least one game. I was shocked, Joe. I thought like you. I figured about 4 or 5 teams. Yeah. The only teams that did not score or did not have a game without a touchdown.
Right.
Buffalo, no real surprises, but one surprise at the very end. Buffalo, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, believe it or not, Philadelphia.
That's incredible.
Well, yeah, right. And of all teams, I would have guessed the Steelers for sure that did not or that did. Washington, Detroit, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and the Raiders, believe it or not.
Really?
So
the Raiders.
Raiders and Pittsburgh were 2 surprises for me.
Wow. That is so. These are then, I guess, cheap numbers, right? I mean, if there's 2/3 of the league, Scott, that haven't scored a touchdown in the 24 season, 280 then isn't a great number. Even if that's one team that didn't do it, you should be getting at least 5 or 6 to 1 for a touchdown in every game, if you think about it, right? I mean, 280 is not that great.
Against the Bears. Yeah, Seattle remember that 6-3 Thursday night game against the Bears?
Yeah, that terrible game. I had to work that. Right? That was a horrible game. That was terrible.
Yeah, the 12-6 game. Remember Rams and 49ers?
49ers,
so there just seems to be like Houston 30-2 against Baltimore. Certain teams I figured, yes, definitely. We talked yesterday, Kansas City, laid an egg last game against Denver, 38-0.
Wow.
Yeah. 28 games total out of all of them.
Wow.
A couple teams did it twice.
All right, so let's look deeper in Seattle. So we think we like the 280, even though it might not be the best number. How about this one, Scott? Seattle to score a field goal in every regular season game, 15-1. So if you're buying into Sam Darnold and you don't think they could score touchdowns, could they score field goals? Now, they're in a stadium where weather could always be an issue. So 15-1, though, is not a bad price for that.
Yeah. I would do both. I think, that almost 3-1, like I said, that's going to be in the high end of these bets. So if it only happened one time last year, albeit with Geno Smith, still, I think they'll score a touchdown in every game. And in the field goal, you're right. That would be the only concern, that goofy stadium and the rain and the 4 o'clock starts and who knows what you got to get. But still, you're basically asking for a shutout, right? I didn't look specifically, but you could probably count on one hand how many times these teams didn't have at least a field goal in the game. That would be like And then maybe that'll be next on my hit list. Go back and see how many times, because the teams that did, there's only one shutout, right? The Saints game. So all those other games that didn't have a touchdown all had a field goal, or the one safety game with Houston. But other than that, so 15-1 is actually, well, that's actually not bad. That might be my next market to go into, field goals, right?
Right. Yeah, the field goal market. Now, they don't have the Giants up. I think they're another team that I potentially would go into for field goals, right? They maybe can move the football between the 30s and struggle in terms of the red zone. We'll see what they do with Russell Wilson. They don't have the number up yet. But again, you're talking about MetLife. We know how the wind affects kickers, right? You're going to have 8 games, 9 games in that stadium where it could be affected. And then obviously your bet could be up in smoke. I will say this, the one bet that I do like, and we could talk about it on the back end, affects the Detroit Lions. We know how they run the football. To score one rushing touchdown in every game, 12-1. That's not a bad number for Detroit.
Yeah. They're going to put 30 up on the board like they did last year. So I would take that.
Not bad. When Scott and I come back, we'll dive into some week 1 spreads right here on Football Full Circle. Coming right back.
There's smart.
And there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Keep it here.
And win. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
And Lewis looks like a man about to fall.
In 1936, it was more about fascism versus democracy. German boxer Max Schmeling KOs Joe Louis in 12 rounds at Yankee Stadium.
The fight's all over. It's one of the great upsets. And the huge underdog from Germany, Max Schmeling, is declared the winner. And scenes of pandemonium in New York.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Socrates, Charles Darwin, and modern science do not understand why you can't tickle yourself. New tickling research at Radboud University looks into the ticklish, complex motor, social, developmental, and evolutionary neuroscience of tickling. The test lab? You sit in a chair, stick your feet through a plate, take your shoes off. A mechanical stick tickles the bottom of your feet, while a scanner records your brain waves, heart rate, sweating, increasing intensity until... And why can't you tickle yourself? Your brain turns off the tickle reflex because it knows what's coming. Follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Sports Rage tonight.
Panama are like 15-1, guys. Panama are good. Panama are not scared of Mexico. They're not scared of the U.S. They're not scared of Canada. I personally think Canada is great value at plus 600. I'd be surprised in the Gold Cup if Canada doesn't make it to the final. I'd be disappointed. Getting Canada at like plus 600 to win the Gold Cup. But I bring up Panama because they're dangerous, guys.
It's Sports Rage tonight with Gabe Morency. Weekdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. There comes a point when the chips are down.
To coin a phrase.
When the only thing you can do is stop and wait. Do you want to face that moment prepared?
Or rely on luck?
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, continuing the conversation, Scott and I have been looking at some prop bets, season-long bets for each individual team. I left off talking about Detroit, one rushing touchdown in every regular season game, 12-1, one of the I would say lower prices up there with Philadelphia that likes to run the football and put up points. I think Kansas City is up there as well. If you want the field goal on Detroit, Scott, right now, this might not be a bad option because they do move the football. 44-1 for a field goal in every game.
Really? Let me look at their scores here from last year and see if I can just point out how many games they had without a field goal. I mean, they scored so many points. I would have thought that would have come pretty close to hitting last year. I mean, 31, that's a field goal. 40's got to be a field goal. 34's got to be a field goal. 42 against Buffalo is probably no field goal. 34, yes. 23, yes. 24, yes. 52, 26, 24. I think it's just the one game against Buffalo.
So you want to take a shot on the 44-1? And here's why I like it, too. At least half their games are indoors, right? So weather can't affect, like we talked about with Seattle and the Giants, having wind, rain, bad elements in January and obviously late December. So for 44-1 to have a dome team that we know has potentially one of the most explosive offenses in the NFC this year. Now, granted, Ben Johnson, the new head coach of Chicago, but you don't expect this team to average 28 to 30 points last year and then all of a sudden only average 14 this year, right? They're going to move the football. So I think it's a pretty good bet for the Lions this season.
Outside of their last road game that could potentially be bad weather is Philadelphia November 16th. Outside of that, they close out the season. I will say this, but if you got to the end of the season, you could hedge your bet on that stuff. But they close out at Chicago. But if they had a field goal in every single game at 44-1, there are props on how many field goals they'll kick in games. They offer everything these days. So if your 44-1 ticket was live, you just bet the under and hedge yourself out.
But here's the thing, Scott. I remember that game against Chicago in Soldier Field at the end of the race. That was the game Ben Johnson was running all the trick plays. They put up 50, didn't they, in that game? And
34.
Wasn't that late December last year?
December 22nd.
Oh, all right.
34-17.
So let's look at their Week 1 matchup against Green Bay. That's an intriguing number. 1.5 for the Green Bay Packers. Remember last year, Green Bay lost by double digits. I mentioned it was the game that Jordan Love came back from the groin injury, right? It was a wet track, and all of a sudden, Detroit, the rushing attack took over. They're catching 1.5 against Green Bay on the road. They're even money at plus 100 on the money line. Total is 49.5, which I happen to think is a little bit high for week number 1. Sort of like Green Bay and the under in week 1 matchup.
Yeah, I like Detroit. I'm going to be on Detroit until they get knocked off their perch. You want to give me a 1.5? We remember all the great against the spread numbers the Lions have had over the last 2-3 seasons. Jared Goff in particular as well. This would be a changing of the guard game, right? Green Bay wins. Okay, now they're the kingpins. I'm not ready to dethrone the champs, if you will, without seeing it on paper. So you want to give me a 1.5 with the Lions? I'll take the 1.5 for sure.
All right, let's look at the other game that we talked about. We talked about Seattle and Sam Darnold. They're at home week 1. They're catching 1.5 to San Francisco and Brock Purdy. You remember last year, Seattle got smacked around on that primetime Thursday night game. San Fran ran away with that. 45.5 is the total. I would probably take the 1.5 with Seattle, and I like the over 45.5.
All right. I like the under, but I would go with San Fran. So we're going completely opposite.
Oh, boy.
Again, changing of the guard. I'm sure Seattle's going to be all pumped up. Sam Darnold, and all this other stuff. That's a lot of points for a San Francisco game. I'm not big on San Fran. I'm not with Brock Purdy. But, again, until I see San Fran lose and Seattle win in a kind of a moment of truth game already, I'll take the Niners plus the 1.5.
Okay, so if San Fran comes out of the gate and loses week 1, is all of a sudden you have major question marks about this team? Okay, so if Sam Darnold is able to pick them off and all of a sudden they get the victory, that's it. DEFCON 5
for San Fran.
All right, that's something interesting. When we come back, all right, we'll talk about more prop bets and then we'll start on some college football right here on Football Full Circle.
The winning edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. The LA Lakers are reportedly being sold for $10 billion, the highest ever for a U.S. pro sports franchise. The Buss family is the current majority owner. They'll keep a minority share of the team, just over 15% for a period of time. In addition, Jeannie Buss will remain the Lakers governor and continue to run the team for the foreseeable future. Mark Walter, the reported buyer, he's the CEO and chairman of diversified holding company TWG Global. They have interests in the Dodgers, the LA Sparks, the Premier League club Chelsea, and the Professional Women's Hockey League. The Lakers have been owned by the Buss family since 1979. Browns rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders cited by police outside of Cleveland early Tuesday for driving 101 miles an hour. That's 41 miles an hour over the posted 60-mile-an-hour speed limit. He took part in mandatory minicamp last week and stayed put in Cleveland along with other rookies for an orientation. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from,
we can be twinsies,
to,
how was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
You're listening to Sports Grid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The winning edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, back on Football Full Circle. We've been breaking down Week 1 spreads for the NFL slate. We talked about some of the marquee games. Let's jump into the Monday night game, Scott. Chicago and Minnesota. When you look at that game, -1.5 in favor of Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams in year number 2. J.J. McCarthy, potentially first career start. They're going on the road. 44.5 is the number. Juice to the under slightly at -115. I'm going to go with Minnesota. I can't buy into Ben Johnson yet. I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach. Give me the Vikings, and I lean to the over early on as well.
I don't have a good read on the over. Now you got two quarterbacks you're wondering about, right? I'll side with the second-year player over, in essence, the rookie in J.J. McCarthy. So give me Caleb Williams. If the Bears, like we talked yesterday, a lot of moment of truth opening round games. If the Bears are going to be any good, you got to beat Minnesota at home. You just have to. Just one of those. It's a winnable game. If you bet they're over, you have this penciled in as a possible W. It's year number 2 for Williams, year number 1 for Boy Wonder Jr. as the head coach. But I still have more faith in them than I do J.J. McCarthy. Okay. You got to prove to me that you're a real quarterback before I bet you on the road to win a football game in your NFL debut as well, on Monday night as well. This could get real ugly for the Vikings. I think the Bears win by double digits. I'm laying a touchdown, adjusted odds already.
See, I do feel like O'Connell has a better read of his offense. Now there are some reports, Jordan Addison potentially has a hearing set. I believe it's at some point in July where a DUI potentially, where he can miss potentially 3 games in the regular season. I haven't seen that, play out. We have to keep an eye out on that in the offense. But that aside, you take Addison out. You have Justin Jefferson. You have T.J. Hawkinson. Aaron Jones comes back, right? O'Connell, even though it is McCarthy, I would be and buy more into that group, right? Week 1 than Ben Johnson. Even though it's a supposedly great offensive line, it's still a makeshift offensive line playing their first game with Caleb Williams. I'll say this again. I think he's hot and cold. I don't think he's elite. I think he has the potential to be good. I still think Jaden Daniels is head and shoulders better than Caleb Williams. And again, I would buy more into a week one matchup with J.J. McCarthy, love him or hate him, than I would Caleb Williams. Let me ask you this, though. More detrimental, week one loss. San Francisco, right, to Seattle. Detroit to Green Bay. Or the Pittsburgh Steelers losing to, Aaron Rodgers' former team, the New York Jets.
That's a good one. That's a real good one. I would say probably Pittsburgh to the Jets.
I think I would too.
You can't fall behind. You can't fall behind in that division right away, right out of the gate. Right, you got to figure Cincinnati's going to beat Cleveland. Baltimore could lose, but you can't already set the tempo of we've lost. And it's a big game. The rivalry and everything. So any thought of Aaron Rodgers not being prepared or anything along those lines, like this is a game he absolutely wants to win, and if he can't, it's a bad sign for him, and it's a bad sign for the team for them, to fall a game behind already.
Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. Scott and I will be back tomorrow. We'll dive into more week one lines. We'll also look at some other prop bets that are up on FanDuel for the NFL. I mentioned college football. It's been about, 3 weeks, Scott? There's been no rumors, no breaking news on Bill Belichick and the situation out in Chapel Hill, right? The calm potentially before the storm. They have the opportunity in terms of their out-of-conference schedule to at least start 3-0 before they square off against the Clemson Tigers. Thoughts about Bill Belichick, big picture, knowing where we are now in the offseason, knowing about the situation with Jordan Hudson, the damage control that they did. Can he get this team right? And what I mean by right is potentially 9-3 and maybe challenging for an ACC championship.
I don't know about challenging for a championship because you still got, a couple of big boys on top. It's obviously not a great league, right? It clearly isn't. I'd still like to know, out of all the interviews I've seen him do, all pertaining to the book and everything, but it's just like, I still can't believe, Joe, there was no NFL team that would give him a crack. And, the question I always wanted him to be asked was, why college? Were the doors completely shut on you in the NFL that you, even after 1 year, did you not get in the Falcons job, turned you off so mightily against the NFL that you said, screw them, I'm going to go to college? I mean, why in the world, would you want to deal with the headaches of college football? So I just wonder, if you got a 60-year-old Bill Belichick, okay, I'd have a whole lot more confidence in him, but he's 70 years old, 69, whatever he is, 68, 69. I mean, is he going to want to go through all the crap that you're going to need to go through? I just think he wants to coach. He would have been better off going to East Carolina, or a school like that where you just, go 7-5, get a bowl game. Why not? You got to challenge really for a national championship. He just wants to coach. Go coach at Topeka High, for goodness sakes.
He is, Scott, 73. Okay,
73. I give him credit for being younger.
He takes over from Mac Brown, who they ran out, and rightfully so. I don't think Mac Brown ever elevated the program, to the likes of potentially, an ACC, contender or championship. I know they made it to the ACC title game with Drake May a couple of years ago against Clemson. They got smacked around 39-10, and then once May moved on, that was it. But the bottom line is this, you have an opportunity if you're North Carolina to put asses in the seats. And I keep talking about that, in terms of turning around programs, especially now with NIL and knowing the money that's being brought in by all these kids, right? $9-10 million, where they're above the head coach. Belichick is the one polarizing figure where kids can't say, hey, I could do it my way. He's the guy that's won 6 Super Bowls, not these high school kids making, $9 or $10 million a year.
Yeah, but are they really going to listen to Bill Belichick? It's been a while since Belichick has been in a Super Bowl. Remember, he went through the years, 3 years, then a year off. Do these guys even know who Bill Belichick is, for goodness? I mean, honestly, he was in his heyday when these kids were, in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I don't think it's going to have the impact. I think, once he has his first game, it's a pretty easy schedule. TCU, Charlotte, Richmond. So that they could open up 3-0 with the TCU game being at home, but I'm sure that'll be a little bit of a struggle. But, once they suffer their first loss, he's not going to be Deion Sanders. That I'm confident.
No?
Whereas Deion's, no. Whereas Deion's image and everything and, carried that, and obviously having his son, the two sons playing, and Travis Hunter, he had really, really good, prominent players. I don't think you're going to get that in North Carolina. I think after the first week, maybe two, that it's going to be, whatever. Okay, go have fun, coach.
We'll see. Now, would you put money on them to win an ACC title at 41-1?
Well, their schedule's easy, and they got Clemson at home. So if you really want to buy in, I probably would. If you just say they're going to be mediocre, they'll find a way to lose, right? They'll lose at Cal or they'll lose at NC State or whatever. But at least they don't play all the big boys, and the one they do, Clemson's at home. 44-1 if you want to.
Their win total, Scott, is 7.5. Over is plus 148. I'd take that bet in a heartbeat.
I probably would go with the over because of their schedule.
Right. Schedule is very manageable. When we come back, we'll dive into more college totals, more conference championship odds right here on Football Full Circle.
Saying every SportsGrid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie.
Just saying.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. President Donald Trump says he does not want to carry out a U.S. strike on Iran, but suggested he stands ready to act if it's necessary to extinguish Iran's nuclear program. Trump continued his increasingly pointed warnings about the U.S. joining Israel in striking at Tehran's nuclear program, as Iran's leader warned anew that the United States would be greeted with stiff retaliation if it attacks. The U.S. Embassy in Israel began evacuating a number of diplomats and family members who had asked to leave Israel. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court upheld Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender minors. The Justice's 6-3 decision in a case from Tennessee effectively protects from legal challenges many efforts by President Donald Trump's Republican administration and state governments to roll back protections for some transgender people. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
Summer days just got even brighter with Kohl's epic deals. Get this, you can score tees for just $5.99, bedding for 60% off, comfy shorts only $7.99, and so much more. You do not want to miss out. Shop Kohl's epic deals for savings on all things summer now, before it's too late. Select styles, some exclusions apply. Offer ends June 22nd. See store at Kohls.com for details.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to handle the busy holiday season, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Remember when you were thankful you could just get AM and FM?
Things have progressed.
Now even an app on your phone can give you a 21st century thrill with that little drop of heaven called
the deposit notification.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, Lisi and Wetzel breaking down college football odds right here on FanDuel. We left off talking about Big Bill Belichick and North Carolina. Can he take this program to elite heights? We'll see. 41-1 shot to win the ACC. Let's not forget, last year with Mac Brown, the opening odds in the offseason were 45-1. When Belichick took over the program, they immediately, about 3 months ago, dropped to like 20-1 to win an ACC championship. But then the off-the-field situation with his fiance, Jordan Hudson, that number now is 41-1. So we've seen a lot of fluctuation, not just in terms of the win total, Scott, but with the conference odds for the Tar Heels. So we both believe that potentially they could get over the 7.5. Let's look. Here's some new ones that they put up, and you could parlay these, Scott. You can parlay these on FanDuel just like we did with the NFL odds, okay? So FanDuel has put up now on the college side 6+ regular season wins and 10+ regular season wins. So which one? And you could parlay these. The 10 are a lot more difficult. So you tell me where you want to start, and maybe we can pick off some value. You want to start with the 10?
All right, we'll start with 6. No, we'll start with 6, then we'll go up.
All right, so let's start with the 6, okay? A couple of teams that are intriguing to me. I'll dive down, see where we're at here. Where do you want to start? All right, I'll bring this up because it affects their quarterback, Lenora Sellers. We talked about South Carolina. Throughout last year, they were one of the most dominant teams potentially in the SEC at the end of the regular season. They get the victory on the road to potentially knock out the Clemson Tigers out of the college football playoff, and Clemson needed a miracle just to sneak in through the ACC championship. But South Carolina and Lenora Sellers now coming back. He declined $9 million, Scott. His dad said, you don't need $9 million. You're a high school kid, basically under 21 years of age. Don't take the money. Lead this program. They're minus 460, which isn't bad to be a 500 football team at 6-6. I think they have the potential to be a 10-win football team, but I'll start with South Carolina at minus 460.
All right. I like that. Yeah, that is an amazing story. Let's just say what everything he said is true. $8-9 million for 2 years.
It's incredible. It's incredible, isn't it?
I doubted the Cooper Flagg stories that came out a couple of weeks ago about how he was supposedly making $28 million. But if you're going to give a quarterback, listen, SEC Rookie of the Year, right? So really good quarterback. I get that. But if you're going to give him $4 million plus a year, I mean, what are these established guys? Are they making $20 million a year? I mean, I wouldn't leave college as a football player because I'm going to make way more my years in college than I'm ever going to make in the NFL. I could bomb out in the NFL. And less stress. Yeah, right. Just go get 9 wins and be happy. I mean, it is just crazy. I don't know what college sports is going to be like 3 years from now, let alone 5 or 6. I just, with all these goofy rules and this female judge that's opening up you go spend money, there's $20 million. That doesn't stop you, though, from getting NIL money from other, sources. That's just on top of the story. I mean, it's just nuts how much these kids are going to be making. So, but that said, 6 wins, I would think. They got South Carolina State, so that's a win on their schedule. They got Coastal Carolina is actually pretty good. They do got Alabama, but there's no Georgia. They got Vandy. What kind of Vandy team we're going to get this year? So that's a manageable schedule to get 6 wins. I would think they would come through. Got at LSU and stuff.
Let me throw another one on there. I believe in this team just because of the way they started and played towards the end of the regular season. I've talked about Baylor, and I know they're not as flashy as some of the other teams, but they have one of the best quarterbacks potentially in the Big 12 with Sawyer Robertson, minus 360 for Baylor. They have potentially elite wideout talent. They return at least 6 or 7 starters on the offensive side of the ball. Baylor at minus 360, Scott. Not bad value. So we have Baylor and South Carolina. Right now we're minus 157 on the 2-leg parlay.
All right. That's not bad. The only issue with Baylor, their non-conference schedule is Auburn and at SMU among the games. Yeah. You got a cupcake in Sanford.
Right.
So it's right. Yeah. It won't be easy. But 6 is, yeah. They go 2-1, and you'll get your 6 wins for sure. I like that. They were 8-5 last year. That's a really good team. So yes, I'm surprised it's that low. To tell you the truth.
Okay, let me throw another one at you. I'm going to put in North Carolina at minus 280. We talked about
you're going down Scott, the drain with this North Carolina team.
I'm not. Here's the thing: he has to be 500. He has to be 500. He cannot be a train wreck, and that's scheduled to start the year tells me they can at least be 3-0, right? If they're 3-0, you have a very good shot at minus 280. Everybody now is not buying into Belichick, right? I mean, he's still a great defensive game planner. He's still probably one of the best in terms of attention to detail. We're not asking the guy to be a 10-win football team. Just be 6-6.
Yeah. With that schedule, no SMU, no Miami, Clemson even at home. I'll give you the 6-6, but I'll throw you 2 words of caution with too much hype on Belichick. Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
How was he in the NFL, Joe? He was just
terrible.
A complete terrible, right? Could that be Belichick in college? Just
you think he's
really not interested?
You think he's going to be hanging out at the bar with girls and stuff the way Urban Meyer was?
Then we're going to get some scandal. And the fiancé is going to be dating one of the football players. He's going to be dating one of the cheerleaders. It can get real crazy. Man.
All right. I'm buying in to at least 6 wins. I'll throw another one out. Yeah. All right. Here's one more. I hate to do this, but I buy into this team. Virginia Tech at minus 190. Could they get a 6 according to the schedule? Now we're up to 264. You just got to be 6-6, Brent Pry. You bring Drones back, the starting quarterback. You lose Tootin. You taking that? Yes or no?
Yeah, in the ACC, you have to 6-6.
All right, We'll come back. We'll finish up the 16 parlay right here on Football Full Circle. Keep it where it is.
Winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the ticket.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Pharrell, Coast to Coast, keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi. Then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
It's stark but true.
You can either listen to SportsGrid for strategies, odds, and more, or you can pay your bills by digging in your couch cushions for change.
Just be sure to wear gloves.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, wrapping up the hour, Scott and I are trying to put together a college football parlay with the futures market on FanDuel. They do a fantastic job. You can add 6 teams for the 6+, 6 teams for the 10+ up on FanDuel. So the other 2 teams that I put in and why I'm high on them. One is Houston with Willie Fritz. They had a 3.5 win total last year, Scott. He comes in, he changes the culture of the program from Holgerson more physical on the offense and defensive lines. They love to run the football and play sound defense. They're minus 210 to be a 6-win football team. I think they have a very good shot. You don't need them to be an 8-win football team. Just get to 500. I like the Cougars at minus 210. The other one I do like, and I'm buying in, is Kansas. This team was on the way up a couple of years ago. They started very slow last year, but then down the stretch, they knocked off some of the best teams in the Big 12, including Colorado and Shedeur Sanders. They knocked them out of contention for a Big 12 title. Give me Kansas at minus 270. That brings the total parlay to plus 669.
All right, that's not bad. You're not going to get like monster numbers with these. Obviously, no. They're all heavy favorites. But I like you can't. I mean, 6 wins. Basically, are they going to become bowl eligible? Right. That's the bottom line with all these teams. So the one that would trip us up, I think with North Carolina's schedule, they'll get to 6. I like South Carolina, I like Baylor, maybe Vod Tech. But they're in the ACC, so they're going to be able to win any game, right? Outside of maybe Clemson and SMU and Miami. So other than that, they got all winnable games. So yeah, I like that one. At plus almost 7-1, 6.5-1. I'll tell you one more. This would obviously be on a separate ticket, but if you just go by reputation and everything, I'll give you 2. I like Rutgers. I'm buying into what they're doing there. Schiano. 6 and 6.
You could do it. I can't do it. I'm in Jersey.
Can't really? Oh, yeah, that's right. You're in Jersey. That's right. Okay. How about then Wisconsin? I know they were 5-7 last year, but man, is Wisconsin really going to be bad again? I don't know who's coming back or whatever.
Scott. That's a bigger question because and I brought this up and we'll get your take. I agree with you. Wisconsin, I think, is dead man walking, and I'm talking about their head coach, Luke Fickell, that took over the program. He was supposed to be the savior, taking over for Paul Chryst. This guy could have had any job 3 seasons ago, USC, Nebraska, you name it. Luke Fickell was the guy once he took Cincinnati and Des Ridder to the college football playoff. That being said, what has he done in Wisconsin? He's basically a middle-of-the-road, under 500 team now that is, playing in the Big Ten. It's not like we're asking them to beat Ohio State every week. Can you beat Minnesota? Can you beat teams like Iowa? I mean, that's what Luke Fickell was brought to. They don't get over 7 or 8 wins this year. I think he could be gone as well.
Boy, that'd be a quick hook, right? But you can count on one hand how many times before he arrived that they had 5 wins in a season. So, what? That's why I always wonder about guys that, you're riding one quarterback, Desmond Ridder, right? He made a success on Desmond Ridder. Congratulations. But I like hiring guys that have shown they can do it a couple times, whether it's the lower level or higher level, but not just one. I mean, why wouldn't he be successful in Wisconsin? Ohio State guy, he's got the Midwest connections, Cincinnati success. I mean, if you could, recruit at Cincinnati, you can't recruit at Wisconsin. Seems kind of weird. I would think they would bounce back and get at least 6. And they're getting plus money on that one, too. Plus 135.
They are. So they do have Maryland transfer Billy Edwards Jr. that comes in. Last year, their quarterback situation was basically, up in the air. They remember they had former Miami Hurricane quarterback. He got hurt in the loss to Alabama, and then all the wheels fell off right from the get-go, right? So, but again, you talk about defense. You talk about being prepared. You talk about game planning. That's what Luke Fickell was brought to the table for. He wasn't brought to the table to obviously just be a 5-7 football team. This team wasn't a 1-11 team like Colorado was with Carl Durrell when Dion took it over, right? This was at least a train in motion and an above-average program. Here's the thing, though, too. We talk about these unrealistic expectations of teams like Wisconsin. You never won a national championship. You won a Rose Bowl with Barry Alvarez, but outside of that, I mean, they have to get realistic expectations, but money drives the bus. That's what it's all about. For our great producer, Danny Ohlers and Scott Wetzel, we'll break down more NFL and college tomorrow on Football Full Circle. Have a great day, everyone.
You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge.